Hello, everybody. I'm Henry Lee. Today, I'm going to videotape our live broadcast, this seal engraving process for a Buddhist dharma name seal. I was commissioned by a professional Zen practitioner and a dharma artist in France. Her name is Meiun. I think that's a Japanese pronunciation of the Chinese characters. Meiun in Mandarin Chinese, meaning luminous cloud, bright cloud, or luminous cloud. I'm going to show you briefly the Chinese seal script. That's the written language has been preserved for 2,000 years and still being used in East Asia countries, in China, Japan, Korea, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, and overseas Chinese. So if you ask me to do your seal, it will be in this what we call the seal script, or 篆书 in Chinese, tensho in Japanese, means seal script. You can check seal script in Chinese on Google. You will see the history of that. And speaking of history, I was an archaeologist when I was in college. So I studied the Chinese etymology, or the evolution of Chinese written language, from the oracle bone to seal script, the bronze script, also known as seal script, and then the later development. So I have lots of books academically, but this one is a introduction book for maybe college or high school students, or anybody who are interested in learning the evolution of Chinese history, Chinese language, Chinese writing history. What this book is, it shows the ideographs, or the pictographs, and the evolution of the Chinese writing system. So I will take, for example, these two characters we are using today. Let me show you the evolution of these. I have bookmarked here. Here we are. Hope you can see it. Let me make sure my camera is working properly. Okay, try to focus a little bit. Okay, let me write this. In Chinese, we read from we write and read from right to the left. This is the standard script in print style. Yun, meaning luminous cloud. Okay, this is the print style, and some of you might say this is a traditional style, and there is a simplified style, which only is the lower part of this. Okay, now let's take a look at the history, and you might change your knowledge base from now, because the simplified form of Chinese writing system could be existing earlier than the so-called traditional characters. Yeah, okay, let me jump to the second character first, since I mentioned this. The cloud, for example. The bright or the luminous, the first character hasn't been changed. And I'll talk about that later. Let's take a look at this one first, since I mentioned this first. So the character cloud, starting from a pictograph in the oracle bone style, is composed of two parts. One is two dashes representing the sky, and then a pattern like a curved line. Let me just simulate this. This one is closer to the one we still use today. And there you can do the curve in another direction. And these two lines don't have to be perfectly leveled, as you see here. So it could be on the left, curved on the left. And these two lines sometimes linked to the side, but still it comes with this tail. What this is, this pattern of a cloud, like a vapor or steam, you know. So this two dash represent heaven, and this is the cloud, and that's a pictograph of, you know, like an icon for the cloud. This is the earliest form, and the bronze style is even more pictograph. It could be, you know, like a rising cloud, like so. And so this is the great seal script, we call it. And then the small seal script standardized it by adding a radical for the rain, the sky with the water drops, because the clouds is basically vaporized water, right? And it has this. This is exactly what I used for the design. So this is a small seal script, which is the first standardized written system in Chinese history, a unified writing system standardized by the first emperor of China, who unified China in 2000, back 2000 years ago, about 220 BC. So this hasn't been changed. But this is the second character, actually. This first character, let's go back to the first character, the luminous or casting light, or lighting as a verb. This book is organized by romanization. So you can see the pronunciation, organized by the pronunciation, Ming in Chinese, M-I-N-G. In Japanese, it pronounced as Meiun or Mei. I'm not literate in Japanese, but it sounds a little different. just like French and English, right? Okay. If you look at this evolution over time, so this is the contemporary format. This is the earliest archivon. So this three are archivon styles. Let me write the figure so you can see. So it's composed of a little round. Sometimes it has a dot in it, or this radical or symbol could be in several formats, something like this, and this. I think this is someone will say, "Oh, I know this word," and eventually become squareized, like the sun. This is the sun radical. And then on the other side, actually in early writing, the moon could be on either side, left or right. So this is the moon. The sun and the moon in the sky at the same time means bright or luminous. That's what we call the ideograph. Represent meaning, idea. Okay, instead of pictograph. Actually, this is also kind of. This is a pictograph. This is a little like a ideograph. It's a compound word with two different parts that to refer to a more specific phenomena or things. Okay, so this part actually is interpreted as the window, not the sun actually. So there are two lines of development. In the this is the picture. In this book, the author drew this to illustrate the idea. Actually, it's based on the bronze style. This all come with this more you might say more decorative sun, but it's actually something different. So it could be if I draw this, you might think, oh, I know that's what is that? A window, a round window. So it could be, and actually, this is the word we still have in 3 strokes like that. Look like a face, but it's not a face. It's like the window. You can still see this kind of pattern in Chinese gardens, I think, and just standardized as this word. I think it's opening in the wall, a window. So this variation here means the moonlight, the moon in the sky shining through. The ancients actually don't know where the light comes from. The moon, they think it's just like a self-luminant body, but not. This is a more contemporary illustration. So the sun shining the moon, and the moon reflects the sun and shining through the window. That's the basically the idea. This illustration is, but with this ancient script, we only have the window and the moon. That's the seal script. this is the window, and this is the moon. Okay. There are several variation ways. Basically, that is what is. And this is the standard script. So when they standardized in unified China, because before the unification, there are several warring states, we call it. They fighting each other for dominance. And each state has their own system of writing, a little different from each other. After the first emperor of Qing dynasty unified China, this seal script called small seal script, or lesser seal script, maybe the different translation, was adopted or recreated by a official called the Li Si, with my last name actually, a chancellor or the prime minister, I think, of Qing dynasty. He's named. He's the person who's responsible for this small cell script. This is what we use basically for this design. So if you look at this design on the lower left, you may recognize it. However, let me show you the variations. When you put the words, the characters together, we try to make a kind of harmonious design, right? So we have to change things to make them fit into each other. That's what. Let me see. So that's why I'll show several ways. This is more like the direct copy. I just made this part instead of 4 circle, like more like a half circle to make room for this rectangular shape. I have to kind of make this part a little straight, like a half of this. Just make room for the other characters, and I also squeezed a little bit here, and the margin was kind of merged. I can even merge the border with the stroke if I will. But my client, after reviewing this design, she suggests me to keep the body away from the stroke. Well, I honor any such request, but I also reserve my artist judgment. If I think it's ugly, then I will insist. But if it's okay, I will make changes for you according to your specific. So I will reject some feedback, and I'll adopt some if that won't hurt. So in the design, and also she requested to keep this little window kind of symbol, but she thought it was the sun. Now I explain this, as a specialist with trained archaeologist, I know this is not the sun. The sun is like this. Therefore, I changed this, because when you know the principle of Chinese writing system, you can adapt without hurting the meaning. So I changed this back to the original, the sun, or I made it more decorative. So adopting this late, more style. Especially, I consider the curve is echoing the character on the left side. So I made this radical instead of this simplified. This radical. You may call it simplified. But this is going back to the ancient, because if you look at the chronology of the evolution line of this character here, this comes first. The sun right here, see, that comes first. Then the Bronze style, which is in Shang and Zhou dynasties. This is Shang dynasty, Zhou dynasty, and Warring State period, and the Qing dynasty, Xiaozhuan. This is the Qing dynasty, and then the Han dynasty, and then late contemporary. So this is the same, right? We don't really have more strokes in the beginning and the final stage. Only in the middle somewhere they use this window radical, which is part of the ideograph. But if you like it, we can still keep it. But overall, that makes the character looks too crowded. So we go back to the. This is my, adjusted or adapted form from my knowledge in this field. So this is very important that you find someone who knows everything like this to design your seal. Otherwise, they can only copy what is available in the dictionary. Okay. So there is no standard script in the seal script, but we do have a database of these days. You can search online. I used to have volumes of dictionaries with all the variations like this, so I can choose. But the principle is you have to keep them consistent. If you use a small script, stay with small script. If you use argabon, stay with argabon. You cannot making changes arbitrarily, and then you will be not eligible for reading. Okay. With that said, I hope you have got the idea of my background, and with multidiscipline in Chinese art, painting and calligraphy. So they're all sister art. The seal engraving, the calligraphy, and the painting are of the same origin. So many master Chinese artists, painters also are good calligrapher and seal engraving artist. To name a few, let me mention some of my favorite. I already introduced in my online class on Chinese brush painting. Fu Baoshi, who is a landscape painter, the best known revolutionary landscape painter who invented the split brush technique, very contemporary. He started as a seal engraving artist in his early career. He even wrote a book on that, and he's very good at that. Wu Cangshuo, he was the founder of the Shanghai schoolmaster in flower and birds painting. He also started as a calligrapher and a seal engraving artist until he reached 50, I think, at least 45 or something like that. He started to learn painting from another Shanghai master, Ren Bo. He achieved higher level of artistry than his mentor Ren Bo, because his background and training in the ancient seal engraving art and calligraphy, because he introduced the idea of antiquarianism, or the taste of bronze and stone into his painting. So he painted like he's carving his seal. If you understand what I'm talking about. So that's a very unique background for Wu Changshu, and many artists after him, including Qi Baishi, also a seal engraving artist, a great seal engraving artist. He even had a seal, wood seal, call himself 300 seal rich man, 310印富翁, meaning a rich guy with 300 seals. So he carved himself 300 seals. So there are more artists, including myself, are good at seal engraving art. It's really help you to develop the sense of space and the detail and the integration of all the design elements in a very limited space. So just like a thumbnail. When I was the web designer, web developer for a high-tech company in the mid-90s, I had a job to design icons. They asked me to do small icons like you see here on Web Anywhere, like a small envelope for email, something like that, within 16 pixels. Now you can use 256 or something like that. So it become more real, but in the beginning, it's very much like a seal engraving art. So that's my background. It's all come to the what you are today, who you are today. So everything you learned will not be wasted. You will contribute to your art career. So multidisciplinary is very, very helpful. Although I didn't become a professor in the college, but I really think it helped to be a literary artist who knows the root of Chinese art, the source of Chinese art. Okay. I've got this stone sanded. Let me transfer this. Okay, I use a magnifier. I hope you can see better this way. Maybe not. Let me see what happens. Okay, I'll take a piece of the print and then use a liquid called acetone. You have to use a laser jet or laser copier to make a print with tonal cartridge, the powder, Okay, let me see. I have to take it out. And just pour a little acetone. It evaporates very fast. Sorry, where's my cup? Within 10 seconds it will dry. So let me see if it works. I think it's not aligned perfectly. I have to redo this because my client is a perfectionist. Ironically, she teaches Zen. I wish she would be more open to happy accidents. So this video, I wish, will be a lesson on Zen or wabi-sabi. I try to be perfectionist so I don't have to violate, the taste of the client. But I also try to be myself, So if I can change something, if something happens, I can I can keep the original plan. I will do that. But sometimes you can just not control everything. You have to let it go and settle it down. Let the ego go. let it happen, by itself. But I try to be as smooth as possible. Let me take this away so I can work better. That's why I have multiple coupons. Okay, so let me sand it a little more. Using a 00 grade is very fine sandpaper. This is for the final sanding, not for erasing. So it's kind of soft. Okay. If there's any mark, you want to make sure the orientation is correct. But this one doesn't have any particular mark. So I will just align it with, try to put it in the middle, in the center. As if I made a copy on the stone, right? Well, it's smeared a little bit, but that's okay. This I consider happy accident with some ink smeared. The stroke looks broader, but I will make it thinner when I carve as possible. The print, it will never be the same as the final result. If you try to follow the design restrictively, you will lose the vitality and the the artistic quality. So I will try to keep the qi flow, so it will not look like a dead seal. It should have a life of its own. Okay. So I know the first thing I would do is to cut the margins. So maybe I don't need to magnify it because it's not very stable here. I will do detail with it. Change my mind. I hope you can still see it. Let me turn on the light. Okay, let me just cut out the first thing my client wants is no stroke touching the body, the border of the seal. So I just cut a square around the border, so it will be cleared. So she wants this very delicate, very framing. So I will try to keep it soft and delicate, very clean. Okay. And she also wanted the border to be a little narrower. So I just adjust that. There's a little more space on the bottom, I think. But I have to leave space for the strokes. That's why I hesitate to make too much space between the border and the stroke. It's good in that the customer have a chance to review the seal before I carve, because I know what they want. But it's very hard to keep my design on the stone. I try closely. If something happens, I hope they will still appreciate it. By the way, I think we have an example of that, and I wish everybody watching give me support and opinion. Hopefully you agree with me, because I have this seal I carved last time, you remember? And the design doesn't have this chip, but I do like it because the design without the chip looks, everything's like perfectly the same. The two sides symmetrical, and this natural chip just on the stone just make the seal much artistic, much more the wabi-sabi than without it. This is a divine touch, I will say. I kept it, but the customer received that and emailed me saying, sorry, the stone was chipped. Maybe she thought it was chipped during the chipping, but actually on the sample imprint it looks like this. I think I have expanded when I do the live broadcasting. But anyway, she asked me if I could replace the stone with the chip. I was speechless, so I have to educate the customer the concept of wabi-sabi and send her the link for wabi-sabi and send the carving video. Hopefully it's educational. So far I haven't heard a reply. Well, I wish she spent as much time needed to study the concept and try to appreciate the cultural differences between the East and the West, between the perfectionist and the wabi-sabi. Okay. That's the whole purpose why I'm doing this. Okay, because I want to show you, what happened and what I tried to do, as I promised. But you just have to keep an open mind, a Zen mind. In this case, it's really hard to see the design, and because I can do this is because I have the confidence, because I designed it is in my mind. I just need a little, reference, minimum reference, and that's why if I give you the design, you cannot carve it. You understand? Because you have to really thoroughly understand the design, not just trace it or something like that. Because I have to rely on my mind, my heart feeling to do it. If you just rely on your eye and hand, you can do it. You cannot do it. I cannot really see what's going on, but I know what I'm doing, So I want to cut a line in between the two words so they will not touch each other. That's what I try to do. And this cut, it's not a straight line, so it just kind of just like two person passing a narrow bridge. That's the kind of movement design. Better not to talk. I don't want to repeat the carving I often do with this kind of work. It's really hard to do it right this first time. Can we see? Well, there's not much to see maybe for you. Let me see. It's better without artificial light. Let me change my reading glass. Oops. Yeah, I can see better, but it's not very stable here. Okay, it's not level, but I can do it. Can you see the focus? Okay. Let's see. Hi, Grady, old soul. Glad you're watching. Okay. Now I can see better with my magnifier. You can use a smaller knife, but I prefer the larger one because the larger one is more stable to grip. Another thing is I can do it gradually. I think this is maybe the only way to get it done. So I will carve the background first. Then I will approach the stroke. Thanks, Grady, for the quote. I think the bottom line for seal is that if the stroke is readable, it's okay to have broken strokes. But for this specific artist, she wants everything fine, like a famine, because she has 4 seals she had in mind, and then she wants to see how I can accomplish first before she commit to that. That's why it makes me so nervous. For the first job, if I don't do it well, I won't get the rest commissions. That's life. So I have to do the way customer expects. So I just cut right in the middle of this square. I mean the empty space. This stone is kind of hard to see. Sometimes the stone is white. This stone is good stone. It's dark, so I cannot really see the strokes. I have seen some videos that people use red to color the stone. They write black on it. I just think it's too much work to write it with a brush. Wait, let me change tools again. I think this clamp is not very handy, so let me use this. I think it's too big for the magnifier to go in, but this might be easier for turning the stone. I now adopt a strategy of scooping first. Just, stay away from the stroke. Then I would have a support to do the stroke. That's what I think the way to go. I'll just do a very rough carving first. So just go. That's another thing we should learn from the seal engraving art. As a painter, we should look at the large picture and do the large picture first. So we do the envelope before we go inside. You know what I mean? We just divide space, the large space first. That's the way to go, I think. So I divide this space into two, basically, but not very even, right? Then I would do all these horizontal strokes in the cloud character, and then this vertical stroke in that one. So let me do this rain. That's where it is. Okay, keep that in mind. Try to do some shallow cut first. So basically, I just do it from memory and the imagination, not really with eyes looking at anything. Okay, this is the first stroke called the sky, and action. I cannot sketch it out, draft it out, and then just do that. It's hard to see anything. My sight is declining recently. Too much computer, too much cell phone, and carving would become difficult. It's like a puzzle. I just follow the puzzle, the maze. Okay. Yeah, work on the large picture. It will help. Just put my knife in the biggest space. One, two touch. Oh, I would do something else. Just relax. These two radicals, not touch. No touching. That's a very hard thing to keep in mind. Okay, this is separated. Okay, I decide to just let it go without concern too much about the design. Just let it go. That's the only way to get it done, I think. Just let it go. I just watch my reference and it just kind of regardless the design on the stone. Try to keep the idea without following the traces of it. Well, I only see shape. I don't see strokes. That's okay. That this is really pixel cutting, really hard to see. Try to keep all the horizontal lines leveled, the distance between lines equal. That's just some basic Chinese writing system rules as you write, as you carve anything, so that would help. it's a little taller. It's okay. Just think everybody lost their patience. You can just jump to the very end to see the result if you're watching the recording of this, because this is longer than I normally would do, but still it's not the finest I can get. It will take a long time to fine-tune after the first stem, maybe. So I have to maybe turn it off if it's too long. How long it is? It's 1 hour and let's try to finish by 1 hour and a half. So 10 more minutes, okay? Sometimes time limit is very important. Otherwise, I just drag too long. Let's try to finish that within 10 minutes. It's possible. If there's no accident, hopefully. Okay, I'm gonna make an imprint now. See how it looks like. This is a very small seal. It's only ½ inch. Okay. Let's make first imprint. Doesn't work. Just blew it. Well, comes up pretty good, I think. Well, not as exactly as a design, but it's my mind image, which is better, I think. The reticle of the sun is a little bit smaller, which I think is a good, better than the first one, which is kind of too big, I think. Do you think so? It looks more even out. Let me just adjust a little space there on the top of the cloud. We should be done. We're lucky. Let me get the paper towel here. And let's bread wolf. Is your Chinese name? Guo Tianyuan? Okay, nice name. I would adjust just a little bit on the top of this red radical. Not too much. Actually, I like the unevenness of that. But if you are a perfectionist, you would see that's obvious. Okay, I really like that, you know. I'm going to leave it. I think it's just like calligraphy, you know, some smearing thing. It's really good, I think. When you go to control, artificial elements will arrive. You know, the first is like, as I said, I just do it without really controlling it, seeing it with eyes. But after this, you know, you can use your ration to reason, you know, to adjust it. But anything accidental looks fine to me on this seal. What do you guys think? It's more has more vitality than the original, doesn't it? Oh, it's a little blurry. You can use a small knife if you want to do the adjustment. You know, I think it's balanced pretty well, not necessarily to make things too even. It's just like handwriting, you know. I like it, I think. What I do, I will show this video along with imprint to the client, and if she asks me to do it again, I will erase it, so she has no chance to go back. That's a challenge, right? Just like in this case, we have a customer who received this seal and saw this chip. It was not originally designed. It happened to be in the right place on the stone, so I kept it. I could have erased it, redo it, you know, but I decided to keep it, as you saw in the last two videos I made. And after she received it, she said, well, the chip, the stone chipped, and she wants a replacement of the stone, which means I have to recover it. So I asked her to send it back, and I have to erase it and redo it. I cannot replace the stone, especially that stone is a unique stone. I cannot duplicate that stone. In this case, you know, I may find the same stone size, but if you want me to do it again, I don't want to keep this. I will erase it at your risk and my risk. Do it again. So you might have some strokes exactly as you want, but you may lose other element you like. So there is no such a thing as a perfect art. Let me quote this Ukraine saying many years ago in the physics research college from Ukraine. Perfect is the enemy of good enough. We must accept what our best effort to produce. Thank Grady for your advice in the beginning of this video. I do accept my own, you know, my own best offered result. What do you call this? So let me make more imprint and see. Okay, let me just make it official in my collection book. I have my standard. If it's really something like unbalanced or broken, unreadable, that kind of bottom line is my my own principles. Other than that, I would try to see the piece as a just try to accept it like a wabi-sabi, imperfection, beauty of imperfect. Speaking of wabi-sabi, every imprint is different, imperfect maybe, and the seal as you use will become different also. After you use it, it will become more used. The better, the longer you use, the better it will be. I think the stroke will be wider, maybe, or depends on how you. Let me see. Make it a print. Each print could be different. And then also the material, the paste. I'm gonna put signature on the left side, so you know the orientation. For this seal, we don't need to press that hard, just evenly press but firmly, and then hold it for maybe 10 to 20 seconds, and then lift with your fingers holding down the paper gently up, and you got a perfect imprint. I like it. This is nice on rice paper. It's one of my best small seal, I think. Believe it or not, I like it. Yeah. I think it's very feminine, very delicate, and hope the client would appreciate. I will see that as a good Zen dharma seal. Just see a little extra dot. Well, better not to touch. Last minute touch usually ruins it. Let me make another imprint on a index card. I use it for the customer client's copy. You have to put something soft, but not too soft. Because if you want the stroke to be thin, you don't want the padding to be too soft. And don't wave too much. If you kind of wave, you will become more blurred or bigger. So just see if I press straight down without waving, you get a clean copy. This is very fine, I think. The stroke should not be even like a computer font. It should be more organic, like you write with a brush on rice paper. That's what we try to simulate the effect. So okay. I know where she might pick this. I could make this line a little cleaner, like this part here. I try to see in the client's mind. I have to write just to make it more clean. That's what she wants. Just a little pixel. Let me see another one. Oh, by the way, I'm going to change my ink paste. This is my new refill ink paste. I'm not going to replace the old one. I still use that for initial imprint because the seal is dusty. And then after that, for final print, I'll probably use this one in the future. Let me show you how do you do it. You don't use your hand. I got an emergency call the other day. Lady got oily ink paste on her hand and don't know how to clean it. You do have to use you can wear a glove if you want, avoid touching the paste. I try to keep my hand clean, and then we use this spatula or stirrer, we call it, to move it. Just take it out. I think in the summer this paste is much softer than winter time because the oil gets harder in the winter time. You may put it in a warm area if you want in the winter time to soften it. Okay, this could be saved, for some more imprint, but you can just throw it away. This is 40 grams, so you need to buy enough. We have 40 and 30 grams for this large box. We sell this on our website, different designs maybe. This is chipped, so I kept it for myself. Okay, so the next thing I'm doing is to stir it into a nice dome shape. Okay, so you can just go in one direction until it should become like a round dome. Yeah, this might be too tall. And you need to adjust the shape, stir it, periodically. In the beginning, I just make it like that. That's why the case is raised, so it will not really touch it. See, it could be a little above for easier loading. Okay. This will be much easier from now on. So I don't have to dab too long. Just very gently, don't press into it. Otherwise, you'll pull the fabric, the fiber. into to feel the strokes. See the fiber is from a flag of a reed, so it goes eventually onto the seal, but you don't want to load too much. If it the ink is yeah, you can use your fingertip to load. I've seen the artists doing that. The this I don't think it's a really cinnabar, so it's not poisonate. You can wash it with soap and or dishwasher to clean your hands. Okay, and just make sure it's even and the orientation is correct. Try to see. Okay, this way. And press gently down on the paper. Don't move, and hold the paper with your fingers like so. Just press evenly. Press pretty hard, but not shake. And gradually lift it straight up. You see, this is new ink. This is the remaining ink. I don't know which one you like better, but don't say this is a different seal. This is the same seal. So your printing style can also make a difference. Your tools, utensils, your padding, your paper could also make difference. So that's why I've seen people, since I already got my hand dirty. So let me just show you how the professional artists do when they stand there. Their gombi painting, the elaborate style. They just use their fingertips and then just dab like that. Just you feel it. You can feel it. I see Professor Rao from Nanjing University, my University college does this. So you just kind of load the stone with your fingertips. This is not recommended, but this just show you how delicate this should be, not just bang, put it once and then just stand. You'll get lots of blurry strokes. So then you put this aside. I need to clean my fingers, but this is okay. I just do more if I got stain on it. Okay. And press. So this time I loaded less ink. This is the first one I got, because this is a brand new ink. This is maybe 20-year-old ink or 15-year-old ink. So this could make difference. Or poor ink, this is not bad ink. It's good, but just become harder and drier. This is brand new. Just opened the package, so you have to get used to the materials. So there are many accidental effects. I did it this way, or horizontal way. So you can see from the same ink, I load the one, with direct tapping on the ink, or I use my fingertips. This could make it. This one is more closer to this, but it might be a little too scarce. Some stroke may be missed, but you could do better. Just keep trying. Let me do this again. Just make sure I don't load in too much. Just gently, very. You can even do it maybe on a piece of paper before you do the final. I'm not sure if second print would be better than the first. That could be. Yeah, this is overloaded. Let me try. I know it will be more like this. So it's kind of hard. You may have to use the stir to make it really kind of flat. Just keep it so without anything sticking out. Yeah, like that. And then when you load, try to not pull any fiber like a stringy fiber out. Just keep it flat, so it will be very gentle. Maybe just so new ink, old ink. Let me do this. I just take the extra ink out on the old pad. So I just use whatever seems available, so I can just respond to the moment. That's what the Zen idea is. So I happen to have this, so I just combine both old and the new and see what we got. This is old from the old ink, from this old ink, and this new ink. Okay. I did kind of. I can see it's different. It's not so much. Yeah, see, this is too much, so I may have to adjust it a little bit. This is our experience. I still like the old one. It's not like a tamed tool. You have to train yourself to adjust to it. So maybe I don't press too much, just gently, very gently. You see, I can get very light. So each print is a unique wabi-sabi art. Imperfect, impermanent. Well, a little blurry. That's with the new ink. Just clean the seal to start with, and you can use maybe some tools better than the fingertip. But this is really seems working. I never tried this. I saw people, my colleague in Nanjing University did this. When we were recording her lesson, he did a painting. When after she signed, she does this. And I just clean my finger. So this is how it works, I think. You have to use a loading tool or something like that. I will try to see if I can maybe wear a plastic fingertip cover. Do you know that kind of thing? Maybe. See, that's better. But that's the best way. So I'm learning this. I just learned. I just tried for the first time in using fingertips. I know why people, my fellow artists in China, are doing that, because with this new ink, it's very easy to get too much. So if you get this result, it's not because I didn't carve it right. It's because the ink is loaded incorrectly. You can get very thin from the same from the old ink, or you can use some tool, maybe a rubber or something like a silicone um, rubber or something to load it. That's all I think for today, and I'll let you know if I got new commissions from France, and I hope she will like it. We'll see more Zen mood sales and name sales in the future, unless something happens. Who knows? I don't worry. I will let you know in the future if I have any interesting project to share with you. And I don't have a schedule, so just subscribe to my channel and you'll get the notice, I hope. Yeah, thanks for all your comments. I hope it's a good lesson for all of us. That we have to accept the good enough from perfect expectations. Bye bye now. Until next time. See you.